La. No. Abu Bakr Siddiq is way higher in rank. And then he says, then I was like, okay, I'm still that important because he looks at me. So I feel it. I'm going to ask if Umar Khattab, because he was a big enemy of Islam, like I was before Islam. So am I bigger than higher than Umar Khattab? And the Prophet says, La. No, you're not. He's way higher than rank. And then he says, so Usman? And Prophet says, no. And then Umar bin al-As writes himself, okay? It's a Muslim hadith, a very long hadith, very amusing hadith of Umar bin al-As. He says, then instead of asking for the fourth person, I kind of noticed that maybe I'm going to let all of the Arab pass in front of me without getting my name in, because now he's losing self-worth. You understand me? That's the difference between self-worth and self-esteem. Self-esteem, no comparison. Self-worth, comparison, equity versus equity. That's psychology. That's classic psychology 101. That's exactly what I mean. Our self-esteem is shattered when we come out of Pakistan. Self-worth can be made from anywhere. I could be a great cricketer and an amazingly terrible man and still have self-worth. Okay, you know what? I can bowl faster than anybody. But if I have shattered self-esteem, I cannot have any relationship, any reliability, any dependability, any leadership, any self-confidence. That's the debris that we're all under. That's why I'm saying, who's going to salvage that? You and I cannot salvage that individually. We can only salvage that unless we come together. That's why I'm saying this awakening tour is going to bring everybody together. I'm going to give you, for your kids, inshallah, concepts for you, especially little, like between 12 and 18, 24. I'm going to tell you what to do if this and that happens. Make sure you understand how to re-establish your self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, most of all self-image, so that you can be a benefactor to your fellow Muslim, because my job is not to create a system of Islam. I cannot do that alone. My job is to connect all the Muslims for the sake of creating the system of Islam. Because if there is not single system of Islam, then I'm sorry, my self-esteem is zero. My self-worth is zero. Because any other American, Aussie, Kiwi, Indian, African, Norwegian, Japanese, Chinese, it's going to come and across my eyesight, and my self-image is going to shatter. Because I am nothing in the global index compared to what this guy is. And that's what's going on in front of every human being that you guys are facing. I am talking through all of these slides so you don't have to worry about it. This is the fracture I'm talking about. I need you to understand this quote from Noam Chomsky. You know who Noam Chomsky is? Read this. Noam Chomsky, he's not a Muslim. He's not a Muslim. He's not a Jew, okay? He's not a Jew. But he says, ASD in philosophy is more of a problem in the world than ASD. You know what the autism is ASD. Autism, you know what autism is, okay? Forget the spectrum. I don't want to go in complication. The spectrum means there are different levels of autism. But ASD means generally the autistic mind. Autism in philosophy is more of a problem in the world than autism in neurology. Autism in neurology is autism. Okay? That's a disease. This guy is saying that in philosophy, like Muslims have two different philosophies now. One asystematic and the other one systematic. One has to have a system. The purpose of a Muslim and purpose of Islam is to establish the rule of Allah Azza wa Jalla all over. Okay? Let non-Muslims be non-Muslims. But Muslims are supposed to be worked against the system, measured against the system. So he says the autism of philosophy, and now keep in mind the Muslims right now, okay? The autism of Muslim philosophy is more of a problem in the Muslim world than the autism, the disease, causing everyone to lose their identity and reliability, because self-esteem makes reliable. Makes you reliable. With anything right or wrong, your basic morality cannot be intact if you're not carrying your self-esteem. That's why we are so easily manipulatable, okay? Every desi man and woman can be manipulated so easily. Compromise, threshold, barrier of entry is so low. Sometimes even for money. Well, most of the time even for money. But sometimes even for just money, you can betray any of the values that you carry. That's called corruption, right? That's for, if you take money and break a value, that's called corruption. So that's what he's saying, that if you have autistic philosophy, that's worse than you have autistic psychology. And that's what I'm saying right now in front of the camera, in cameras, standing in Australia, that most immigrants are philosophically autistic. No matter whether you're Muslim or you're not. You got to come out of this autism and come into your philosophy so that you're philosophically identifiable. And if you're philosophically identifiable as a Muslim, then I got to be able to measure you. How much of a Muslim are you, man? Have you ever asked this question to anyone? How much of a Muslim are you? You know what the answer is? Oh, I pray 5 times a day. That's how much of a Muslim. I'll tell you an example. I'm just going to quote you an example. There's a big study. I'm going to finish with this, and I'm going to take your question. Doctors overseas, I don't trust Imran Khan stats, but he did quote, his administration quoted that more than 12 billion rupees, or maybe dollars, he was quoting, are coming from overseas Pakistanis to Pakistan. See, when there's a system of measurement, you can actually measure the contribution. وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. Allah Ta'ala says, get all the money in. So if there was a system, economically speaking, I could exactly know, and I have done the calculation, that's what we're going to release, inshallah, in Perth, if time allows us. There are 3 major indicators. One is the big economic indicator, the financial. You can know how much of a Muslim you are if there is a system and you're contributing to that system. That's very simple math. So we can know that, for example, APNA doctors are about $500,000 a year. There are 12,000 registered Muslim doctors in APNA. So you know what that means? 12,000 means $500,000, $6,000 million. Which means 6 billion, 600 billion. That can shake any and every system, right? Even if they do 10% of it. You know, I'm giving you an example. Make sure you understand what I'm trying to do here. I'm giving you the measure. If there is no system, you're worth 0 as a Muslim. But if you have a system, you can have a worth, even measured in terms of money. Now, I gave you this example so that you can understand. Just like APNA, the doctors, there's another organization. I need you to Google that up today. You should have known by now. Israel is measuring the worth of every Jew through every penny every Jew is contributing towards the system of Judaic philosophy installed by Theodor Herzl in Tel Aviv, which is called Israel. So their system called Israel is actually measuring the worth of every Jew who is, I swear to God, contributing to all these 3 things, primarily money, which is the Quran's order, that if you are not going to become this one system, this one nation, and contribute whatever you have, and become one organism, then you are the cancer to that organism. Okay? This is what Allah is saying. Let me just, here, this is Israel. This is the model of Israel. That's what I'm saying, that they are the Jews of the Quran. And I'm asking you that overseas Pakistanis, overseas Muslims are the biggest hope for me. Local Pakistanis cannot even dream of what I'm saying right now. They can't even comprehend what I'm saying right now. They think I'm a kook. And living example of Israel is right in front of them. So, here Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ. The key word is, Ma biqawm. If you're not coming together as one nation, one system, okay? If you're not treating each other as one system, one people, then as individuals, you're nobody. You're nobody. You're not worth zero. No. Zero is a number. You're nobody. And if you come inside a system, connect with each other, then work towards a single purpose, then you become a system. And it has, first and foremost, financial demand upon you. And that's what وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ means. And that's exactly what Allah is saying, that okay, if you are not going to behave like a system, behave like people, as single organism, all of you, then I'm not going to help you. That's why I've said no prayer of any Muslim is going to be answered. जितनी मर्जी दुआएं कर ले, मैं उर्दू में बता रहा हूँ जान के, ताकि आपके इमोशनल हद नस पे लगे जाके, ख़वातीन कोई दुआएं कबूल नहीं होनी आपकी, ये अल्लाह ताला ने यहाँ पे बता दिया हुआ है। इसलिए नहीं हुई आज तक कोई दुआएं कबूल। मांग के देखें, रो के जान नमाजों पे कई कई हज़ार तस्बीहात की मिन्नतें मांग के देखें, दुआएं कबूल नहीं होनी। रूल इज सिंपल कि अल्लाह ने उस कौम की हालत कभी नहीं बदलनी जिसने खुद अपनी हालत ना बदलनी हो। This is it. This is Surah Ra'd. Google it up, Surah Ra'd. This is not the translation. This is not the translation. Translation, you should Google up. This is what I'm just saying. Iqbal ने शेर लिखा था ना. What is Iqbal शेर? खुदा ने आज तक उस कौम की हालत नहीं बदली, ना हो जिसको ख्याल खुद अपनी हालत के बदलने का. This is the translation of this ayah. Iqbal just wrote it in poetry. Does this say that if a man does not fix himself and his nafs and tazkiyah, Allah is not going to help him? No. It says Allah only helps when you come together and behave the way I made a purpose for Islam to forbid. Inna deena inda Allahil Islam. Allah only has Islam. Islam is not an individualistic matter. If it were, Prophet ﷺ would have been in different jungles and different isolated deserts. But no, he came in, he brought in everybody together, established a system, and we reaped the fruit of that system till 1924. After that, every cleric, every speaker, every teacher, every school teacher, every Hafiz al-Quran, every muallim, every sheikh, every sheikha, better start getting their act together, that every Muslim has to come together, otherwise no Muslim is going to survive. And by the way, this is not just my theory, this is a practical example of what the Judaic philosophers did. And you know what the foremost duty of every Jew is? When is the third temple going to be made?
When all Israelis come.
There's a simple condition, third temple will never be made until, and they have, fill in the blanks. Until what?
All Yehudi will come to Israel.
Till every Jew enters the land of Israel. That's how simple third temple is. So they have a physical, geographical map of getting everybody together. But they're only chote se number. They're a tiny little number, so they can do that. All Muslims can't even fit in Israel, even if they wanted to. We can't even fit in Pakistan or Bangladesh or wherever. So that's their philosophy. That's not my philosophy. But my philosophy is don't go to Israel or wherever. Mu'adh bin Jabal, when he was going to Yemen by the Prophet ﷺ, he was sending him to Yemen. Mu'adh bin Jabal realized through the words of the Prophet ﷺ that Prophet ﷺ is not going to be here next year. And they both were crying, by the way. Both were crying. Prophet ﷺ is, going, sending him to Yemen, and he's just, bidding him farewell and goodbye. And Mu'adh bin Jabal says, what if I die and I cannot be with you? Or what if I'm physically not close to you and, either one of us dies? And the Prophet says, you don't have to be with me or close to me physically. Wherever you are, and as long as you're connected with me, through your, whatever deeds that you're doing, whatever the purpose that you're trying to suffice for, It doesn't matter whether you are in Israel or not. We are not Jews. We don't have to be in Mecca to be Muslims. Wherever we are, we have to be connected as one and run as one and perform as one. Unless we get connected, this is not going to come true. And if it's not going to come true, no individual Muslim, anything is going to come. Oh, divine help is coming. Aunillah, la ara, riyah, aunillah. No, everyone is going to say that. No, I don't see the aunillah coming in. The winds of Allah's help, sorry, they're not going to come in for me. Because I'm just a man. I'm just a man, I'm sorry. I need the system to back me up. The funnel gets connected and everything, every good comes to me. That's how simple it is. Are you not sad that a guy of my age has the guts to say that no prayer of yours is going to be answered? Are you not, your mind creating a challenge? How dare you say that to me, man? It is between me and my God. Is he going to depend on what you have to think about Islam? No, I'll tell you what the Quran says and I'll tell you the Seerah and you do the math. And then you know what? Even if you don't want to do the math, just do the math on the last 20 times that your prayers were answered. Okay, you know what? 10. You know what? 5. Okay, you know what? Since I'm in Canberra, the last 2 times your prayers were actually answered. In a row. Literally. And you think it's a small matter? That's all we have. Allah, dua. What else do we think we have? और कोई asset है हमारे पास? दुआ से बड़ा कोई asset है हमारे पास? Read the hadith. I'm giving you a homework. Ali bin Abi Talib. The Sahabi goes and says, my prayers are not getting answered. And he says, you cannot be alone. Read the hadith. And he says, what do you mean I cannot be alone? It's like, there must be more of you. Go ask around. There must be more of you. Make a group and come back to me. And then the next day he says, yeah, there are a lot like me whose prayers are not answered. And Ali bin Abi Talib said, there are 8 things you got to do. 8 things. If they are not intact, no prayers are going to be answered. Get those 8 things in order. Read those 8 things. Homework. I gave you the whole thing. Homework is a little too easy, but come on. Self-esteem, white psychology, brown psychology, forget about all of this. This is the way more important problem on the table. No prayer is ever going to be answered. I think I'd rather be an Aussie and still get, a brown Aussie and still get all of my prayers answered. I'm okay with no self-esteem and still have my prayers answered. I'm just giving you an example of how big of a loss it is as an individual if you're not together as a group. I'm a nobody and nobody gets nothing. Allah only listens to people who are strong. Imagine the odds. If I'm strong, Allah's going to make me stronger? Yeah. Same philosophy in Bible. Same philosophy in the Torah. Allah only helps those who are helping themselves as a group. So, Olympics करनी पड़ेंगी इससे कम chance. Hey, Islam makes you start with the Olympics. Start with the Olympics. Imagine how beautiful this philosophy is. Nothing but the Olympics. Sorry, everyone's going to be a global level athlete. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, every problem. Okay? That's where the parenting comes in. That's where the individual and other. I'm not going to go into 360 angles. So, let's jump in with the questions. What do you think? How are you going to angle this? 2 things I'm going to remind you. Okay, I'll tell you something what I'm going to do. I already am going to bring you together. We already have your data. We have all of the data about there. Yeah. We're going to bring you together. You can. This is not a compulsion. You can always leave the group. we're going to start getting connected together just to talk about knowledge levels first. This year, knowledge levels. What to do, concepts, so that I can teach my kids as to, and bigger questions, challenging questions. Well, if this is right, then, how come, or make some sense out of that concept. Whatever kind of questions that you guys have, especially regarding your kids. Because your kids are going to ask a million questions, I'm telling you this right now. And you cannot just sugarcoat a fake answer and give a placebo and think you're doing a good job. No, your kid is going to stop asking you questions if you start giving him placebos. Because he's going to find somebody else and who's going to give him wrong or right answer, but at least attempting to give an answer. Okay? So these groups, these live sessions, these live interactions are going to be only for that purpose. Next step, we're going to give you New Zealand, we're going to give you, let's just say, UAE or wherever, so that you guys can, come together, and then we're going to host arbitration sessions so that you can talk and debate. Your kids can actually come together and learn together, just like social clubs, but with a purpose of getting IQ of Muslims higher. If I can raise your kids' IQ through these kind of platforms, real questions with real candid questions which most of your kids are never going to ask you, Nushaba, Marine, your daughters, some questions are not going to be asked to you. I'm sorry. That's how we are designed as Pakistanis or Muslims. We have stopped the courage, we have lowered the courage of our kids to ask straight questions from our own parents. Important questions. And they are asking from their classmates, and they are getting the wrong answers. And they're not telling us. Even if sometimes they feel that they're getting the wrong answer, but they're not going to tell us because we make sure they get afraid of us as able parents. So we're going to get those platforms together so our kids can openly express and get their confusions out before they become atheists or whatever they naturally are going to become. And I don't blame them for becoming atheists at 10 or 12. Their parents are not even letting them breathe, for God's sakes. I'm talking about, intellectually. Yes, sir.
Jazakallah khair. My name is Hamza, and unfortunately I couldn't attend the gathering from the beginning, but I like the concept of establishing a system that every Muslim come together. From your experience, do you see at the moment any organization or any jama'at that actually the establishment is based on
is there.
No, based on establishing a system that every single Muslim come together? Or there is no jama'at at the moment working with this? Because 100% there is groups all agreeing with your philosophy as well.
Oh yeah, the concept everybody agrees with.
So do you think
do you agree with the concept though? Yeah. That every Muslim should come together.
But do you believe there's some jama'at working hard on this?
But where are you from?
I'm from Palestine, from Gaza. So pray for our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, you're right. Well, you missed the first part. We tried to go a little as much detail as we could at that time. But we all of these people come from a concept. All of these people, girls and boys, come from a concept which meant that all of the Muslims, whoever says La ilaha illallah, is going to get the citizenship of Pakistan. All of us. Ironic that you asked me this question. A practical example? Of course not. We ruined the hell out of it, but that's what Pakistan's manifesto was. Yeah, that's what we did, a struggle that, as long as you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you are a Pakistani, you are a Muslim, and this is a system that we're going to establish in the name of Allah and the Prophet, and no law will ever be made which is repugnant to the Quran or Sunnah. Which is called Pakistan, by the way. Yeah, what I'm saying is, if we do not have the right concept, the right follow-through, that's what I'm saying. This is the follow-through. This is the follow-through of the people who came after Pakistan was made.